I'm joined by Mick Owar. He's walked through the trenches and now holds space for others to do the same. Let's meet Mick. But often we introduce others by what they do, but really, I want to know who you are, Mick. So, what would your closest friends say about you?
How do I start that one? I'd probably suggest that they would look at me as a guy who likes to get shit done. Really, I'll set my mind on something and I'll just find a way to get it done. That's what I do, and that's what I've been doing for a very long time. And you know, it might not always be the top A grade result, but I always do seem to get results, and most of the time it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, from our little conversations we've had with each other, I think you're pretty down to earth. Would you say that?
Oh, 100%. I strive to be, even when, just one, if it's, I do it to a point where it can be detrimental to my goals at the time, because I like to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah, I hear you.
Rather than just throwing in all the sales points, I'll be like, here's all the sales points, but here's my experience, just so you're aware and don't get surprised if something like that might happen to you. Yeah. And I find a lot of people appreciate it, and I mean, I would appreciate it if more salespeople were like that to me, but you've got to set an example for them, right?
Yeah, no, it sounds like one of your core values, like mine, is integrity.
That's a big one. That's things, because I've been on the other side of that when I was young and still living with the parents, and nobody cares if you've got a personal issue and you just don't show up one day. It's not their problem. It's your problem because you don't have a job no more. That's what I learned early on. And it was back when I was a basketball referee, actually, and I was quite exceptional, heading in the direction of Big V at this point in time, which is a couple of levels under the NBL. I'm not sure how many levels, but... Mm-hmm. But this is going back like 20 plus years now, mind you. And I just didn't show up to one of my pre-organised games one day and thought, oh, it'll be right. It wasn't. The lady doing the rostering calls me up and goes, so where were you? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was rostered, and in the most convincing voice that I could throw at them. And she's like, okay, that's cool. Just so you know, I'm reporting you, and you're going to sit in front of a tribunal to explain this. And I thought, oh, fuck. and she followed up 5 minutes later and said, if you had just said you were feeling lazy and didn't show up, I wouldn't have reported you. And that was my learning lesson to go, you know what? That's good feedback. I'll be very straight up and blunt and honest in the future. And I have been, and people usually remark and go, oh, okay, that was awfully honest of you. I'm like, yeah, well, that's who I am now, Had a learning experience one day.
That's it's good early on in life, I think, to learn that lesson.
Yeah, I'd agree. And that's also why I like to hold people accountable to their actions and words these days, because that was a big lesson that served me very well. And, you look back and it's like that was a definite fork in the road for me, and you could choose to be an asshole and go down the wrong direction, or you can be like, you know what, it's good feedback. I'll take that on board and make the appropriate changes from here on in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one thing that set me in a better direction. And it stung at the time, yeah, but did I deserve it? Of course, 100%.
Yeah. We've got to take action, for our own behaviour.
You can fight it all you want, but at the end of the day, it's your life. And if you want to have a good life, own your shit.
Yeah. So at some point then, in like a few years after that, you went through some breaking time and some rebuilding.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was 2012, to be precise. August, actually. Mm-hmm. I won't go into a great deal of detail, but it was a long-term relationship that had come to an end, and it had not come to an end in a nice way for anybody involved. I think I was expecting the same transparency that I was giving at that time, and it was just not coming, and it was making things worse and worse, as you would feel when someone is doing something not so good behind your back, and you can feel it. You know what's going on, you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And long story short, it didn't end up in any kind of violent means, but there was a lot of, how do you say, shouting and screaming in pain, and that led to me getting arrested.
Oh, no.
There was absolutely no threats of violence at any point in time. Like, I was actually trying to hurt myself, but I sat there and went, I don't know how to do that. It's not working. Shit, just yell louder. It's okay. Something will happen and it'll be all good. And eventually it was. The other person involved took accountability at some point not long after.
Okay.
And, the cops wanted to do this and that, and they're like, oh, we know what's going on here, And I'm sitting there completely broken in agony that I've never felt before. And they're like, oh, he's an abuser, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you just sound like you've got a bit of an agenda to pull here, and you're trying to make life even worse for somebody who's already down in the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
Like you weren't needed, and by the time you actually showed up, everything had finished anyway. So you came to a quiet residence and made a lot of noise and sat there for ages with 3 or 4 cop cars with their lights on and the critical response team, and I was just sitting there a broken man. They're like, come out, lay down on the ground. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm completely done at this point.
Yeah.
And it took 6 months for all the paperwork to leave everybody alone, and it also took her help to get them to back off, because she knew that I was not a violent person. I was just very hurt. And it was when you've sat in a situation and gone and thought to yourself, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, and then that gets ripped out from under you, there's a lot of grief that wants to come out, and you're like, how do I deal with this? And if you haven't learnt through experiences in the past, if it's your first time, it's not a fun trip.
No, and grief does include anger. It's a natural response to that situation.
The multiple stages of loss, and anger, I think, for me, was the first one to come out, because what else do you do? But yeah, like I said, within 6 months it was all sorted, and there was no harm to anybody, and it was all good, and everything was put to rest, and I got on with my healing journey from that point onwards, because there was, at that point in time, there was nothing hanging over my head. But the first 3 months for me, Jesus Christ, it was very difficult to reacclimatise to my new life, and I did eventually, but there was just a lot of grief sitting there, and not all of it from the relationship breakdown. That just spurred on other griefs that had been piling up in the background that you don't really think of.
Yeah, because you're
from
forced
say
to.
childhood or something like that, and they've sat there for your entire life and you didn't even notice.
Yeah.
And it just takes one little straw on the camel's back, and there they all are. And even to this day, the occasional thing pops up from my childhood, and I'm like, oh, that's an unusual thought to pop up right now. What do I need to do about making that more even in my central nervous system, rather than being a negative experience? How do we look at it and turn it into more of a positive learning experience?
Yes, and you only could have got to that point because of what you went through especially in that 3 months. And it's also in that waiting time while something's hanging over you. I find in life, like I had military trauma, and then I had 5 years of this, like, fighting DVA. So while all that waiting for, that fight within you, you're waiting for the police to end what should have never happened in the first place.
Yeah.
It's you can't actually move on from what's going on because this waiting time, it's terrible.
Yeah, and I guess it's like that for a reason, to make you sit there and stew about it.
But it was from that time when, about the 6 months, when the police now off your back, you're working a little bit more better with your partner in separation, and she's
Yep.
come more of accountable to her actions as well. So
Yeah,
then was that a turning point to rebuilding, or is there something more
that was just the point where I could start rebuilding myself officially. I'd been working on it for a little while, and I'd had a friend at the time invite me to join him at gym, and that kind of got me into bodybuilding, which is quite a common place for, post breakups. The boys will head down to the gym and just be thinking, I'm just going to get, nice and muscular and really look good
yeah.
in the mirror so I can actually respect myself a lot more. And it works. You get a lot more self-respect when you start getting results for your own body. It's quite transformative in your mind, not just the body.
Yeah, that is. I've actually experienced that recently because I had 2 knee replacements,
Ooh,
and now I'm doing 60 kilo deadlifts, a 70 kilo push on a sled, and I just upped to 42 kilos on a row. And I've never done any weightlifting stuff before. So.
I mean, just the fact that you're doing anything at all is impressive.
Yeah, but it does. Like, I think it really does. It feeds into your self-respect, into loving yourself for who you are. Yeah, my back feels like so strong, and every day that makes me more confident in who I am. So
Yeah,
there is something about building muscle, building something in you that gives
even
you.
just even just the building of confidence is a big one for building your own self-respect, I find. Um, just to give another example, I was 39, and I decided, if I don't start working on my cardio, I will never have it for the rest of my life. So it's a now or never moment, and I decided to join a Muay Thai gym.
Mhm.
My God, was that so fucking challenging. Going from zero cardio to possibly one of the most cardio-driven sports, it's a huge one. And every 5 minutes I was lying on the ground panting.
Wow, what's the difference between that kind of gym?
So you got weightlifting where you can do your 10 reps or however many reps. I'd usually do about 15 to 20, and then you can sit down for a minute, and it's very low cardio intense.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got something like Muay Thai, which is 1 solid hour where your heart rate is on full blast because, 10 kicks on your left, 10 kicks on your right. All right, cool. Now drop and do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 squats. All right, now come back up and hit the pads as hard as you can for as long as you can. And it just doesn't stop.
Oh, for an hour. Wow.
For an hour, it is intense. And, 2 years in, and I'm noticing that my cardio finally started getting notably better. I wouldn't by any means call myself super fit, but I can last the whole hour without being gassed.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's a huge win. And there's something about the fighting gym lifestyle that improves confidence in a different way
Is it
to
also
regular gym.
okay? And is it also like helpful in anger management or grief,
Oh,
like to get all
yeah,
that out?
100%. Like, when I've always had an angry friend approach me and they're like, oh, I just can't stop being angry. I'm like, just go and smash an old microwave. You'll feel so much better. And it's true. Like, you go and you got something, you get a hammer and so instead of throwing it out, make a mess of it, then throw it out.
Yeah.
And you will feel better. And there's places, there's a business just around the corner from my work called the Smash Room. And that's literally all you do. You go in there, you get a hammer, you get plates, and you smash them. And people have parties in there. I haven't been yet, but I wouldn't mind. I think that'd be a bit of fun, to be honest.
Yeah, well, isn't they do that in Greek weddings? Smash plates.
They do. Just getting it all out before it starts.
I wonder what they do for divorce parties.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard any stories, but I'm sure it's not pretty. They probably just call their mafia uncle and be like, hey, set it up, puppy.
So like part of getting into your body and working all that, like then there was a point of burnout for you. Did that come after that?
Yeah, that's been most of the last 10 years. There was a period there where I was running my web design agency and Ubering both full time. And that was just ridiculous. I have no idea how I managed to even pull off all those days, but usually I'd work 5 days heavy until 8 or 9 o'clock at night after waking up early and getting started. And the weekend, I would literally sit in bed and watch movies the entire time. I wouldn't go out. And that sort of kept me at a level where I could be a bit more consistent with just continuing it on. And, that would obviously include gym 3-4 times a week, plenty of work and plenty of exercise. I was also singing back at that point in time a bit more regularly. So I'd sing for 40 minutes to an hour most nights. I'd hit up the gym, I'd come home, I'd do some yoga stretches, and there might be a night where I substitute that for Uber driving, and it really doesn't pay very much.
No. Do you feel like you were filling a void from your relationship breakdown at all, or just trying to get ahead?
Trying to get ahead, because at that point in time I was single, and I was quite okay with being single at that point in time. I think I also had eyes on somebody, but that required a bigger, stronger version of me, which at the end of the day it didn't end up turning into anything, and that's fine. But I used the energy that I was building and the thought process behind that to still work on myself. So whilst I was selling myself on it would help me out with her, it didn't really matter, because it was helping me out with me.
Yeah.
And I got to keep all that hard work.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of inspiration on one side, and then a lot of payoff to the self on the other.
Yeah. So important. I mean, we really need to be interdependent and standing on our own 2 feet before getting into a relationship. Yeah.
If someone, like when I was young, I pre 2012 breakup, I think, actually pre 2009, I'd say, I had absolutely no future. I was a dull bludger. I saw no point in working, and it just gave me no joy. But then I found I was doing a little bit of work alongside these business coaches, and I was sitting there going, you know what? I could start my own business. Why hasn't anybody, why haven't I been able to get educated on how to do that when I was at school? Because they just train you up to be a pen pusher, paper pusher.
Yeah, puppet. Yeah.
And they don't train you how to think like fucking anything beyond a robot.
Yeah.
It's like, get good at these menial tasks that, by the time you're old enough to really make some money from it, will have replaced you with AI.
Well,
yay, thanks guys, I'm glad you're thinking ahead.
That's probably how they do school now, yeah.
100% it would be. We had our kid 2 months ago, and he's absolutely awesome. He also was born from my new business in a sense. So long story short, I've met a pretty awesome girl a couple of years back, sometime in COVID. And at one point she says to me, just so you know, I don't think I can have kids because it's just never happened before. And I looked at her and put a smile on my face and go, you leave that shit to me, yeah? And she was just like, okay, whatever. So I hadn't started primal recovery at this point,
Yep.
but I'd had my eyes on buying a really high quality red light therapy machine. And this was kind of just reason enough to just go and buy one. And if you don't know about red light, it's just specific rays of sunlight, essentially. And they've captured it in the LED lights, and it's everything that's not damaging to the body. So it doesn't contain UVA, UVB. It's just got the higher, I forget the frequencies of light or something.
Mm-hmm. Is it you're in a capsule? Is it doing the whole body?
No. It's a light that sits over you. So you can get them in the whole body capsules, yes. But the one I got was just a smaller one that had a big curve that you could place anywhere, and we just sat it over her belly 40 minutes to an hour a night for 1 month. And then wouldn't you know it, she was pregnant.
Oh, wow. So it's like healing. It's a healing light.
It's a very healing light. It essentially recharges and renews all the mitochondria in your body. So if they're a bit deformed, bit deflated, whatever is going on, it basically goes, no, you need to be good again. We're just going to put you back to square one to be a normal mitochondria. And it's just amazing. I'm also using it on my head to help my hair, because there's a certain space that's getting a bit thin. We don't need that. So, irregular use of that, and 6 months later, I looked at this thinning spot, and I thought to myself, I think that's getting a bit thicker. You can see a bit more baby hairs coming back, which, I mean, that's a big thing. You ask any baldy who's tried growing their hair back or try and save it. It's not an easy task. But, it's making a difference there as well. And there's a fella who's got stage 4 cancer who's coming in, and he swears it's making a big difference for him.
In pain or in...
No. So he's getting chemo.
Yeah.
And before they put the poison into him, they need to do a blood pellet count or blood platelet levels check.
Yes.
And if it's too low, he basically describes it as he'll get up, walk to the door, and be puffed.
Wow.
So since he's been coming and using all my systems and everything, he said the platelet level has always been at the top end, and he just feels so much better in general. So he's here every week now. And I'm hoping that it makes a big difference at the end of the day for him, because he's a lovely bloke, and he seems to be getting a lot out of it. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's going to be just fine.
Would that be the same with healing microbiome in the gut and inflammation in the body?
So I would usually suggest that inflammation in the body would be best dealt with an ice bath.
Aha.
It's amazing. It's not easy. It's possibly the hardest thing in primal recovery that I've got, but it's also one of the most powerful.
So let's just step back a bit. So you've gone through some burnout times. You've got were going into a relationship, and then you had a son.
Yep.
And then you started primal recovery, or
that was it, this year.
This year you started. Yeah, so you founded Primal Recovery, and one of the most important things, a part of this, was that you wanted to really offer men a space to create health for them.
Yes. Yeah. That was my original intentions, because having gone through all emotions and been like, oh, okay, I fixed this little issue that I've had. Maybe I can help other men fix the same issue. But the funny thing is, the space is the website I've built is hyper masculine. The text in it is hyper masculine, but most of my clients have ended up being female.
Well, I love your website. I think it's awesome.
I'm glad. I didn't realise that would be the case. I remember talking to a friend before I started and before I settled on a name. I was originally going to call it the Zen Centre, based on an idea I'd had 6 or 7 years earlier. But my friend was saying, because he used to run a gym called Evolve, and he picked that name because it was very androgynous. It'd be fine for anyone. No one could complain. And he goes, but having looked back and then looking at gyms like Muscle City, which, like my website at Hypermasculine, he goes, they're still full of women. And I said, isn't that interesting? I wonder if I can do the same. And sure enough, I think at least 50% of the clientele is women, possibly more.
And so so you've got red light therapy and you've got a nice bath area.
So I'm picking up a spa in the next couple of weeks, so I can do some proper contrast therapy with the ice bath.
Yep.
So
you could get warm after the freeze.
Well, I mean, I do have the infrared sauna, and I've got a steam sauna which I built with, from scratch, based on an idea that I had in my head when I was on holidays. I'm like, I could build my own. It'd be awesome. And it is. I really love it. I'm surprised at how amazing my skills are. But I digress. The spa is coming in the next couple of weeks, and so at the moment I'm just calling contrast therapy using the sauna and then jumping in the ice bath and then jumping back in the sauna. That's not perfectly contrast. It's mildly at best because the water allows for a quicker transfer of the temperature, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you jump out of the ice bath and into the sauna, you'll warm up. It'll take a bit of time. But if you jump into, say, 40-degree water instead of 70-degree air, you will feel that a lot faster.
Ah, yes.
and when you do that, you can feel your blood circulating like crazy just under the surface of the skin. It feels like tingles everywhere. Yeah. And it's so good for your health. It's amazing.
So I've jumped into in Europe in one of those freezing lakes
Yep.
And my heart felt like it almost stopped. Like
yes.
I could literally feel it slow down and do a boom, and I was like, oh my goodness, I think I better get out of here. I'm going to have a heart attack.
How long were you in for?
Oh, it would have been, I don't know, it might have been up to 3 minutes.
That's an exceptional effort. Did you have much warm up and practice to that?
No. No, I just.
Well, then that's just straight up exceptional, because I have people that will come in and they're, especially the females, they'll do like 10 seconds in the ice bath.
Oh, okay.
And I said, look, that's fine. It's not uncommon. I've had girls that have started at 10 seconds and then they've gone to 20 seconds the next time and 30 seconds. I had one of them come in. She's having a bit of a rage because she's had a bad day. She's just got fired. And I've got really good rapport with her. She's absolutely lovely and she loves the space here. And I said to her, that's cool. You're going to spend 5 minutes in the ice today, yeah? And she just looked at me with her mouth dropped like, huh? And she goes, why? I go, just do it. Don't ask. Just do it. And she, okay. So she did 2.5 minutes. She got out. She jumped back in a few minutes later and did another few minutes. And then she's like, I did it. You happy? I said, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then the next time I saw her, she was glowing. She comes in and she goes, you were right. And I said, I know, but what about this time? She goes, the 5 minutes, I felt amazing the day after. I said, that's why I told you. She goes, okay, I believe you. I'll listen to you from now on. I said, good. You get all the payoff here, not me.
Yeah.
I'll just get a little pat on the back, and I'm quite happy with that, you know.
Yeah, we need some wisdom like that in people's lives. I mean, I must admit, I was very young when I did that. Like, so yeah, you know, I was 20, but when I was training to join the military in my late 30s I joined when I was 40.
Wow.
I dived into a swimming pool. I had a similar reaction, but it probably lasted only about a couple of minutes. It wouldn't have been that long.
Yeah.
But in the Navy, like, we were swimming in Jarvis Bay in the middle of winter,
Oof.
We had to jump off the end of the wharf and last in the water and tread water for 15 minutes before we could get into the lifeboat.
Oh.
And it was July. July.
No shit.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Oh, that would be just pain.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you don't actually feel your legs or anytime you're trying to climb into the lifeboat my legs were not working and I couldn't do it.
I could believe that. I've only got the temperature in my ice bath set to 6 degrees. I had it at 4 originally, but that scared people off.
Oh, right, really?
And I don't imagine Jarvis Bay would have been any hotter than 4 degrees, if that.
Yeah, if that, yeah. Well, some fun times, but yeah, I think yeah, what you can offer into men or women in that recovery, it's all about. So primal is really getting back to our basics, isn't it?
Well, that's why I called it that. Primal, it's all about being primal. It's reconnecting with our humanity that we have forgotten about. You know, there's multiple machines downstairs that can be used. It's essentially set up like a gym, but it's not a gym. It's a complement of a gym. So you got all your stations everywhere. You just go around. You do one of each for the whatever amount of time you think is necessary, and at the end of it, you walk out and you just feel 10 kilos lighter, mentally speaking.
Yeah.
So anyone that comes in, I'm like, cool, well, you're going to feel great when you leave. And sure enough, I don't think I've had one person that's left feeling worse. They've all improved.
Yes, which you want. Yeah.
That's exactly what I want. And that's exactly why I set up the space, because I've always liked being that person that can offer the right wisdom to people to remove whatever's ailing them at that point in time. And I feel like I've been doing that for so long that people would just come to me and say, hey, I've got this issue. And I'd be like, oh, it's related to that. Just do X, Y, Z and you'll be good as gold. And anybody that takes up my advice usually comes back to me and goes, that was fantastic, Nick, thanks.
Yeah, and that's really helping people to move into their transformation. And
yep. Like, there's been a few little hacks that I've learned off my naturopath who he's really, really cool. He does a lot of kinesthesiology with every client in the form of muscle testing to see what their body is in need of at that point in time.
mm-hmm.
And he just has this innate ability to essentially find out what your body is missing at that point in time, and he's got a few supplements at his space, and he just puts them against your belly and then tests your arm, and he'd be like, yep, you need X amount of these X amount of times a day, and you come back the next time, he's like, yeah, you feel better, and you just look at him and go, yeah, how'd you know? Like some people would call it magic, he calls it a spiritual channeling.
Yeah.
Either way, he's just amazingly right and extremely knowledgeable. And every time I've had a session with him, we sit there and we chat a lot.
Yeah, which is great.
And I learned so much of him. Like, this world needs more people like him, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think I can be like him, but I can be like me. And
exactly. Yeah.
I've got similar offerings that are different to him.
Yep. And
so
that's what we need in the world. Our unique connectedness to each other. We're offering different parts and gifts of that. And yeah.
And one of the simplest biohacking idea that I've ever learned was from him, and I was having some issues with dry eyelids, and I said, what the fuck's going on? Why does this fluffy bullshit not go away from my eyes? And he looked at me, tested my arm, did a couple more tests, and goes, yep, just as I thought, you're dehydrated. And I said, what the fuck? I drink X amount of litres a day. How the fuck am I dehydrated? And he's like, well, how much salt are you getting? And I said, I don't know. He goes, that's why you're dehydrated. I said, oh, how do I fix this? And he basically said, get your Celtic sea salt and you put a pinch in every water that you drink.
Really? Wow. Up your
That's
salt.
it. The most basic biohack that I've ever learned, with the biggest result. The flakiness went away from my eyes very quickly at that point, and it only comes out if I'm forgetting to do that these days. For a significant amount of time, which means it doesn't come out very often. But there are periods, of course, where you get a bit busy and you forget the basics.
Yes. So
and that's just being human.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when we look at the overall theme of this month is becoming the blueprint, what does that mean for you?
For me, it comes across as being in integrity with your being. So living life how you've planned it, not how somebody else has given you the blueprint to run your own life. Like, for example, growing up when I was a teenager, my parents are like, they didn't see me as the academic type. They saw me as the type that was good on my hands. They're like, oh, you should go and get a carpentry apprenticeship. You should do this. You should do that. And they're throwing all these ideas at me, and I tried them all. And I was pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I didn't want to be someone's apprentice. And it wasn't for me. And it was just as simple as that. I wanted more from my life. My parents couldn't see what I was capable of. And I don't blame them, just old school people with old school mentalities that probably worked really well in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But these days they're not as relevant methods of living life. So as for the blueprint, I think that needs to come from within.
Yeah.
And you need to be true to your own blueprint, not to somebody else's.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you've finally found that edge for yourself in what you founded and all that you're offering to people down in Melbourne.
It's a deep passion of mine to be able to guide people through this and fix anything that they've got going on where they're like, oh, I've got an issue with this. I'd just be responding with, well, you need to jump on this machine, take this supplement, whatever it is, and you'll be good as gold. And most of the time it ends up being pretty spot on. So it definitely brings a good amount of joy back to me, even though the business is still small and I haven't officially started advertising yet. I've still got clients coming in and they're getting all the benefits from it. And it's very fulfilling for me, much more than any other job or business that I've run in the past.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you really have rebuilt your life out of some pain and trauma and found your way.
That's funny. If you had have asked me, are you living to your true authentic self from when I was 20 every year until now, I would have always said yes. But looking back, I'm like, yeah, but not really, not enough. That's not who you were. But it's also part of that journey, You're growing into who you are, and it's not a 5-minute task. It might take 20 or 30 years before you fully grow into who you want to be.
Yep, and it's ever changing too.
Yeah, it is. It's always evolving, and I think, at least I think right now, that who I am is who I will be, but slightly better in 10, 15 years' time. I don't think at this point I'll be changing paths for who I am at this point in my life.
No. Yeah, well, I'd love to watch that space and see where it heads, but
I'm very curious as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also what you put out there, and what you're putting out there is some great intention and where you want to be, and putting that into other people's lives as well.
Yeah, and I think another thing which I've dived into a bit lately is I've taken on the thought process of it doesn't matter how hard it is to say. If it's truthful, you need to say it.
This is Dr. Mel Baker holding space with you in Living Reflections. May our stories keep unfolding.